Why have I quit my job? Why have I, bought a van? And why am I going to drive around the country? Well, I'm passionate about the idea that you need to be heard. And I want to stitch these stories together across the states. We're going to find the commonalities. And it's going to be really an amazing experience. And I look forward to you joining me on the Jar.
A really super funky version of the backtrack. I don't know what happened there, but welcome everybody to Mental Health Today. I'm your host, Ken. And so I'm in Houston on my journey. As you saw there, that was me kind of getting the van set up and having some words of little prophet words there, trying to figure out what is going to be that common story that I see. And that was before I embarked on the journey. I've now got about 80 cities done, about 280 interviews done in the can already. And mental health was the main thread. That was the real thread that I saw. And so after taking a break in December, launched this program on March 3rd. Gina, I think we're at about 70 interviews now.
Yep.
Since March 3rd. So I love, like we were talking offline, I love StreamYard, great platform, so easy to use, and a great way to really find people like yourself and get the message to a broader audience. Thanks for coming on, Gina.
Hello. Thank you.
Yeah, hello.
And
hello.
everybody else.
Yeah, so great to meet you. And again, like we said offline, why don't you spend some time talking a little bit about yourself and what are you doing in the space and what's that motivation? And I think the really cool stuff is what you're working on now, the rebranding. I mean, you've got a lot to share.
Yeah. Well, hello, I'm Gina Cavalier. My company is called The Liberated Healer, and I was in the entertainment technology for about 25 years, doing marketing and all kinds of crazy stuff.
So interesting.
Yeah, and I had all my own traumas, and I just wasn't happy, and so I just went head down into healing, and and I became a healer myself. Worked on hundreds and hundreds of people. And dedicated time, all in service to, help myself and help other people. During the pandemic, a big light bulb came on, and it was not for me, that said that I needed to start teaching and spreading my wings and using my talents for other things. And I completely did a 360, left behind the entertainment business as a entertainment veteran, media veteran, and went full on to healing. And the company is being rebranded now. We really have a stronghold on what we want to accomplish. We want to be a content production company that's only creating positive wellness content of the highest vibration. And we want to create an app that is going to help practitioners, clients, and brands, people with money who want to be a part of the healing that's happening in the world.
Right.
And also my personal brand is, I'm a survivor, you would call it, of suicidal ideation. And it's a thought I can't even hold anymore after having it in my space for, 40 years or whatever. And so I just signed a publishing deal with the Swedenborg Foundation, which is a really remarkable foundation in Philadelphia. And they teach they have a lot of spiritual content based on Emanuel Swedenborg's writings. And he had one of his books is having conversations with angels. He connected with angels, and he's really this amazing character. And we sent out about 60 letters to publishers, and we got 4 contracts in, and we decided to go with them because they are a nonprofit, and they're going to donate books to colleges and high schools, because that is where a lot of the suicidality with children is very bad. Where now that I'm looking into it, it's everywhere. But that's where we really want to put some of our focus, and put me on tour maybe early next year with how somebody who has lived through that experience and also have healed it, and to have the hope that it can actually leave your life one day forever and permanently. And I can say that has happened to me.
That's got to be. I mean, being in the business and being in the life. I mean, such a Hollywood thing, and also having these idolations, right? Just, I mean,
Yep.
it's such a It's such a contrast.
I was married to a rock star as well. I mean, I had that whole life, and I was suffering, and I wasn't living my life purpose, which is being in service. And once I became in service, I light up like Christmas tree every day, regardless of what's happening, regardless of whatever obstacle comes in my way, because, I know I have to do it for myself first, but now I have a purpose and a platform that is using my specific talents. I've honed in on what I'm really good at, which is building community, resources, and connecting people worldwide with all different cultures. And it's just something I'm really good at, and I'm authentic, and I actually, I just kind of
You're
go with
authentic.
it. Yeah. And people can see that in me. And I keep my childlike spirit too. I'm a little silly. I'm not perfect. I don't ever want to be perfect. I think that's boring. And, that's why I rubbed everybody the wrong way in the corporate world, because I would always try to loosen them up and try to wake them up. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that didn't work so well, for everybody, but, that was it, an upward challenge. And I now want to focus on people that embrace healing and want it.
That's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. This happens to me now so many times. It's odd, but it's real. It's true that your background, as strange as it seems, is opposite as it does seem in a way. It's totally prepared you for the role you've got.
All the way.
I mean, your purpose is there, right? Your gift is there, but it's weird that you're put in this other job to learn something. And then now you find, and you're like, hey, that was good training.
When I tell people this one story, they just can't believe it. So I was working at Warner Brothers, and I founded the first employee-run group based on technology that was going to just do events, all employee-run, with a board, everything. We weren't getting paid. It was all volunteer. I founded it. I put out a call to get people for board members on my platform. 200 people wanted to be on my board. It was insane. And I signed up 1,500 people on the studio lot in 3 months to be a part of and it was all inclusive and diversity. And I was creating different pathways to communicate within ourselves on how we could bridge the gap between the people with tribal knowledge to the younger kids, and how could we help each other, and how we were all one big soup, and there wasn't titles or anything like that. And I did an event, and 600 people showed up. And so they have a big theater there where they play all the big movies, and it filled, not a seat in sight was empty. It was 600 people around the line. And I spoke to them for about 20 minutes, and it shook the whole studio, because the first thing I've said, and at the time I was just a manager, just this girl just chugging along in marketing. And I said, this isn't the place for titles. This isn't the place for this group. It's like, we're all the same. And it really rattled the hierarchy. To the point where I heard that there was like screaming going on afterwards with the presidents and things like that. But it was really interesting, because the then president, Kevin Tsuchihara, called me and asked me, how did you do that so fast? And I said, because I'm good at my job.
Yeah.
And they were thinking about fast tracking me and put me in a big position. But then, people got jealous and then wound up actually letting me go. So
that is so cool. I was
still like, I rattled it, I did my second event, and it was a sold out event with 600 people. And it was me on the stage, just talking to everybody like this. And, I believe in people. I believe when we come together with these, we can do so many things smarter. The app that I'm building is literally going.
Tell us about that. And what's the purpose of it? So I think maybe give us like the purpose of it, because this is I mean, that's what a story to get kicked out and to go find your own purpose. Like you've broken the matrix. You
Yeah.
have to leave.
Yep.
Oh God, that's like that's like busting a video game open or something. You
Yeah.
crack the matrix and it's just like, all right, she's got to go.
Yeah. And it was painful for a minute because I loved Warner Brothers. They were
Oh.
like, my grandfather worked there. Okay. So
Oh,
when
shit.
I felt like this was my legacy. My grandfather used to build cars for like Humphrey Bogart and everything there.
Oh
So
man.
I was like, this is my home, you know.
It's your identity.
Yeah, I mean, I still love them and a lot of people there too, you know, and I think they're evolving and growing too, you know. So you know,
yeah, so sorry, back to your app and how it got started.
So I'm in the funding phase. I always think really big and big picture, but that is the thing that I'm really good at. You know, I can see how bringing it all in. So I've brought in one of the biggest struggles is people can't find healing. When you start to look at like, oh, I've heard of Reiki, or I've heard of healing, or I need acupuncture, or I need some yoga. You start to look, right? And then you just get lost within 20 minutes. You get overwhelmed by different websites. Everybody's look is different.
I wouldn't know what to do. If I was wanting to go do acupuncture, I would 5 minutes on Google and I would just, I'm out.
Yeah. So it's overwhelming. It's not a great experience.
No.
People need help. And even the way that websites are mostly designed, they're not designed with our brains, the way that we like to receive information. They're designed by creative directors, which they're going to put pretty pictures where they want, but they're not really created for the mind. So the mind, like Apple creates for the mind, like how we like to see things, right? So, but we don't. So that's the problem. So that's what the clients, they're having problems. They need healing. They're in hospitals. They're lonely. They have nowhere to, you know, all kinds of things. So for the practitioners are super suffering. And this is really passionately upsetting to me that small businesses are hurt. They don't get any help from the government. You know, we're just suffering so much. And we're doing this with all of our passion and love, all day long. We need support. But the problem with the practitioners is they will become a healer or, they do internal family systems or even a therapist or whatever. They have to hire a website company. They don't know what colors they want it to be. They have to hire to do audio, video. They have to have social media. They have to become a photographer. They have to become all these things, right? They don't want to do that. Now it's taken all their time and effort and money and resources away from what they really want to do, right?
What they're good at, what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, what they're good at.
And they don't really care if their website's pink or purple or whatever. In a way, like they get lost in it. And then now they've got this huge amount of money, nothing left to put in to help actual people. Then there's also brands who are desperately wanting to get into a wellness area and be looked at as, a champion, and we see where they're on YouTube ads, they're just ads, right? It's like, they also need a breath of fresh air, so the app actually put the three together. You will not need, as a practitioner, you get a couple different looks. They're all brilliantly designed. Everything is in there that you need, live content, scheduling, all that stuff. But we also have a gratitude center. So anybody can donate to that particular practitioner. And I could donate like $1,000 to that practitioner, and they get a certain amount of tokens that they can give out to their clients. And that gratitude center is on the front page, and you get to see, they get their logo and all the information. So now it's like a 360 thing. So the branding people are looking pretty good, and the person gets the healing, and then the practitioner gets to do what they love, and they don't have to worry about it. And it's brilliantly designed, right? And we're going to try to go into hospitals first and do a test with hospitals because the staff is overrun, the clients are bored and sick, and they have nothing to look forward to. And as I said, a lot of my thing that I'm really passionate about is helping people with loneliness, especially in assisted living places and things like that. We need more things that if they can't do anything, even an iPad in front of them. Hey, you got a healing today. You're going to talk to X today. You know what? Sometimes I worked in an assisted living place. Sometimes if a person has that one thing to do today, that might be all the hope that they need to get them through the day. And
Oh
we
yeah.
so smart. Why aren't we creating these things? And all the apps that are out there, they're good at one thing. They're good at like maybe scheduling, or they're good
Yes.
at you know, Aura is really good, and all these other ones for healing meditations and things like that. But none of them are together to really have this 360 healing place for people seeking it, doing it, and the people with the money helping them look good as well. Because we need to raise up the people that have the pocketbooks as well in a way that's kind and respectful. They want to get in this as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this idea of having some allotment of free care somehow, right, where practitioners have some time, and it's great if it's paid for. I wouldn't expect them to donate the time. So it's clever to use the branding, the advertisement becomes tokens.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get insurance companies involved. It's the first we're going to
Yeah.
We have a list of insurance companies we're going to hit, and say, hey, you can be the primary one for the first year. If not, you don't say yes, we're going to go to the next one. And, we're going to try to talk to like Cigna and Aetna and things like that. And maybe not all of it is covered by insurance, but it really eventually should, but if we start with some of the more like acupuncture and things like that, and, chiropractic and things.
Yeah, I think, I think insurance, I think we need to embrace all the methods of care that there are, especially if it remotely is connected to mental health, because we don't have enough therapists. And and therapy is not the right thing for everybody right away. So there are ways, and physical health is part of it, part of your mental health. Learning how to talk to yourself is mental health, help that helps the education part. So yeah, I'm a fan. Everything should we should be throwing everything at this problem right now.
Yeah, and think about it. If you want to, if you've heard about like mushrooms or something like that,
right,
and you want to try it out on your own, there might be a section for psilocybin coaches. Schedule an appointment with them. You can ask them, how does it work? Where do I get it? Or things like that. Right. It's just but we need a centralized platform.
Yeah, and this I think there is so much happening right now in the space that if you can, if we can get a few places that are, I love this idea. It's like you've got Tinder, it's Tinder for mental health, right?
Yes!
So, you even have your different, subcategories of treatments, right? What's your interest? Are you interested in chiropractic? Are you interested in diet? I'm sure you can probably even get dietitians involved and really match up the full that full spectrum of things that touch on and can help improve our mental health.
Yeah. So if anybody is has an investor that's interested, they can, there's my LinkedIn right there. They could, reach out to me and we could send them over a deck. We have actually, we want to launch in Los Angeles and Austin, Texas.
Okay.
We already have the financials done, and we already have the marketing strategy done. And we were very conservative in our numbers, and we broke it down by 10 categories. And we were super conservative because when we actually look at, especially Los Angeles, how many wellness practitioners there were, even if we got 10% signed up, it was like we would make our money back so fast. And we know that we would sign up more than 10%. But really, it's sort of a really amazing idea. And, and we think it would, just grow significantly, pretty quickly once we got
I think once you get an anchor client. What about a hospital group, like a hospital system? Does that also work with this?
Yeah, we could because all we would need to do is get iPads and sign them up with insurance companies that way, or but they would just literally, because it's a web or mobile app, so literally you could just do it there, and they could just kind of plop in, oh, you have an appointment at 2:00 today, give them an iPad, and they can do the appointment. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also opens up, right? Because it's smaller, regional. Those are a little easier to tackle as well, as opposed to an Aetna and some of the bigger brands.
The thing is that
a lot of application.
you know, we're just we're so really we're just smart. We can do a better job. We really can. They're just we have to come together with the bigger ideas and support one another and really think it out a little. You know,
Hmm.
we have to kind of go a little bit bigger. Think about these big thinkers that we like really love, like Tesla and Elon or whatever. And they think real big, right? But we just because we don't have those kind of finances don't mean that we can't think as big as that. And
Oh yeah.
each person bringing their talent and their expertise, we really can kind of solve so many issues so quickly we wouldn't even know it. I mean, if you think about if that was to take off and almost all wellness people went on there and all of our websites look like, I mean, the website designers wouldn't like it so much, but they would go and do something else. You know what I mean? That is a better thing.
Yeah.
But just the calmer mind and not having to I get overwhelmed by everybody's designs, right? This guy has it in the right, this guy has it in the left. I have to look up and down to look, to find
Yes. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. How to
And actually, everything is in the same spot pretty much. So
Yeah. I mean, it's like a Yelp is probably a much better. Does that sound like a closer? But it's also have customer. Can a business find clients on there as well? Can you do a reverse search?
Oh yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
already have early test designs and things like that. And when you see it, it looks like Mission Impossible a little bit. It's like I said, it's really like where the brain likes to just sit and go, wow. Actually, some of the early design stuff that we had, the guy that we were using the tech from, he actually has some patents and he's actively building technology for pilots in the DoD right now, and the way that
Oh.
they teach pilots on how to fly the airplanes.
Okay.
So the technology guys are really, using. There's just again, what I'm saying is there's so much out there that if we just we really pull it together, we can actually solve so many problems. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's the hard part, though, I think, and that's sort of what I think I'm kind of good at.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, I've been in this chair and had a chance to hear some pretty good solutions, different pieces, but it's a lot of disparate parts and people fighting, and some are a little bit more focused. They've got a niche, right? So I think a bit like yourself, you've got the markets. So you're going to target this area. Now your idea is obviously going to solve at a bigger level. But it's interesting. It's a real opportunity to bring all of these under one kind of a resource where you can find it
Yeah.
and really get at it. Um, Absolutely got to introduce you to the moon. I don't want to butcher the team's name, so I have to look at it. Excuse me while I got to pull off Moon Knox.
Okay.
So it's MOON. Uh,
I love that name.
it's a great name and it's two N's as well. So it's MOONNOX.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's clever, right?
Yes.
It's these are some smart. They're smart people, and they also got good marketing. They're really good, and they're also kind of bootstrapping this AI piece, and it's I think what they're doing would be interesting for you to have a look to see if there's anything in there.
Oh, yeah. There could be an AI, person that comes on and explains the whole thing. It would be really cool.
Yeah, it's a good way to query. At least their system is for querying. So I don't know if it's exactly relevant for you, but it may be. It
Yeah.
may be, and certainly some of the data that you've got may be good for some of the projects. Like you could put it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, now the atomproject.org. So they are now with this. I haven't been to the site to check it, but the intention is that they will make recommendations for free resources.
Well, that would help.
Yeah. So you can go to the site is live, and I just don't know if the AI overlay, if the Moon Rocks piece is overlaid yet.
Okay.
I think I was on beta last time I chatted. So anyway, very interesting because there is some parallel in what's going on. They've got all the resources there, and a lot of it is free. It's like the knowledge stuff is free
Okay.
based. Interesting stuff. I'm still trying to get my head around, Gina, what you've crafted, and I love to see more. Like you said, see the
Yeah,
deck or see, go to the website, when it
Uh,
gets done.
I could send you a deck, and also about positive content, because I came from Warner Brothers, and I was having a really hard time, being a part of some darker content.
Hmm.
For me, anything that you'll ever see that I will be a part of or put out is just really like, try to be as high vibration as possible. It doesn't mean that we don't talk about some dark subjects matters as sometimes.
Right.
Like, that's life. But I really believe that some of the mental health things that are going on right now, especially, you are what you consume. And that's a fact. And, when we're creating some of this content, that I'm seeing out right now that, are getting awards and are really popular and things like that, I really think it's detrimental to our children. And even some of the video game stuff, it's, you are what you consume. So, we have to start
No argument here.
we have to start correlating that what is happening, in the news when it comes up, uh, why is this so relevant happening now? All
Yeah.
these years, I'm talking about school shootings and things like this, when, we have to, we have to look at that deeper and see that it's the wellness, the positive wellness content has to be a movement. And I want to talk to people about trigger warnings for suicide. I think I've watched, I don't watch a ton of television, but I think the 4 or 5, I watched 5 programs in the last week.
Okay.
4 of them had a suicide in him. And I did not have, and like I said, I have a past suicidal thing that I've healed, but one of them was a complete shock. It was just, I thought it was a rom-com, and it
Oh
just came
man.
out, and then the guy shot himself right in a frame. And it actually took me back. I had to sit back, turn my TV off. I had to meditate. I had to cancel a meeting for a minute. Because it hit me so hard, because I wasn't really, I just was like watching a rom-com. But if I'd seen that there was going to be a suicidal act on there, I just would have picked something else. And I think
You're right. Right.
and there's people that fight that, and I'm like, why would you fight that? I mean, are you suicidal? Like, how do you know that it's not going to help someone who's suicidal? And what's wrong with having a warning on the front of something if it's going to save a life? That doesn't make any sense to me. So, I'm really passionate about that too. And I just think that it's the how come so many of the 5 things I chose, 4 of them actually had a suicide in it.
That's yeah. I'm with you. I'm a super. I've become way more into that camp. The consume part, and it's easy to say it, and I think I would have said it before, but not understood it.
And the
like I do now.
Was a new show out on, I'm not gonna say what show it was. I love the acting, and it was a comedy. It was so funny. And a guy jumps out of the building onto a bus out of a building. And it was literally was a comedy, just enjoying some light comedy. I thought it was funny. And I just,
do we have to do that?
We have to realize we're all community, so if one community shouldn't see that, we should protect them. And that's why just a warning is fine. And hey, you might not want to see this if you have there, so I'm really starting, and I wouldn't have, if that didn't happen to me the other day, I probably wouldn't have even thought about trigger warnings as much. But now that I'm writing the book about healing suicidal ideation, I think that that's definitely another area I'm going to, start to dive into for wellness, mental wellness.
Yeah, mental wellness. I mean, it is what we consume. I saw something really crazy the other day about this kind of offbeat, how music, and when you have an offbeat, there's one way to sing a song, and if you sing it another way with an offbeat, how that is actually so disruptive to your nervous system.
That's interesting.
And leaves you on edge. So it's a 1 beat and 3 beat. I can't remember. I passed it through. And I was like, oh, I got to go back and find out more about this.
Oh, that's
And so it is kind of this melody, this natural flow, and then there's that where you're not expecting it, and it just leaves you, and it gets you at a heightened state of alert, and leaves you like a little bit aggressive.
Oh wow, I'm gonna.
It's very, I mean, music is just so powerful.
Definitely. I mean, I put it in as one of my cures for healing, I mean, definitely was, you have to create a safety net when you're trying to heal from suicidal ideation.
Yes.
Music was one of my safety nets. I have a playlist
Okay.
that calms me. I have a playlist that makes me happy. I have a playlist, and, definitely some of the YouTube on the Liberated Healer on YouTube. I have calming videos that are written, for people having an episodic, in the middle of a suicidal episode or something, where they,
man,
put that on and know that they're loved and things like that. And my co-author, I have a co-author, Dr. Amelia Kelly. She, after 5 years of proposing to Psychology Today, she finally just got the thumbs up that she's going to be a contributor. And she's got 2 other books on gaslighting at Random House. So she's the trauma therapist writing it with me. So she's writing it from the perspective of red flags and warnings. And then I'm writing it from the lived experience and the spiritual tools that I helped develop to get
through.
Yeah, we have like some really great meditations that we're going to, copyright and whatever, but they're just brilliant and they're neat and they work and they help instantly when you're having something like that. So
I've had some good stories, good sharings from guests on the Jar about those moments. Yeah. And, just talking about 1 second to the next, living, not even minute by minute. Right? A minute's like 1,000 years. It's second by second. And if I get this second, I can get to that second. And just how, like, I could just, as you're telling me that story, just bringing me back to that interview and just trying to and sit with that and try to imagine what that's like to have that conversation. Like, I don't want to live. All right, well, I'll live this 5 seconds. Okay. I'll live another 10. I don't know. Can't imagine.
What is interesting is that almost everybody, not everybody, but so many people I've talked to now that I've been doing this, my friends and family and people I've known my whole life are coming out and telling me their suicidal thoughts and moments that people I've known my whole life. And so, I feel like it really is, there's even, it's not even the act of the actual suicide. That's why it's ideation, because that's also a slow death. 40 years of thinking about suicide is just, is also just horrible.
Oh, goodness.
I sold my home. I was going to spend all my money on my house that I had, all my equity in my house. I got fancy clothes. I went and I was giving it away. I gave it to all my friends that needed money. I was like, I spent something like $500,000 that I had equity in my house, giving it to people, throwing parties. I was going to go. And I was like, well, I might as well spend it. I want to give it to the, and I don't have any children or whatever. So, anybody who needed it, I was like, I mean, people were and that's healed it now. And I was thinking about all that money today and I was like, wow, I could have used that for my company. But at that time, I didn't,
you didn't imagine you'd have a company.
I didn't care.
You didn't care.
I wanted to go and there was nothing left for me. And there are 2 things that I say that I found self-love, which I did not have.
Oh, yeah. Give us some closing thoughts. Take us down this kind of how you got there for some thoughts to say, to wrap it out.
Well, you can say the word self-love and you hear it in a lot of things, but to actually really feel it when you say, I love myself so much. I not only love myself, I like myself. And it's like when you don't have that, it is, there's a big wounded hole in when you do not love yourself, and you will, and it's really hard to see. And it's usually people that are super overgivers. If you know anybody that's constantly, hey, let me fix your life. Hey, you need that. Let me do that for you. Oh, because they're trying to find love outside of themselves.
Yeah. They're trying to Yeah.
And then if they usually hook up with narcissists, so then the narcissist is like, great, I'm going to take everything from this person, and then they end up with absolutely nothing, and then they go even worse route. So if you got to work on that self-love thing, because that will get you into trouble every time, and call in the wrong people to you that are going to just take advantage of that.
I think this is it. This is the magic of that, is you call the wrong people. You really do call the wrong people to you.
And you can't even see it. And then you're hoping, oh, I'm so nice to them. I buy everything for them. I clean their house. I do all this stuff. They're never going to leave me, because that abandonment wound is so bad. And then they just leave you anyways. And then you're like, shit,
Of course they leave you because you're like because you're like suffocating and like a 3-year-old holding onto the apron, right? So it's like, good God, who is this person?
And then the second
and I'm done with you. I'm a narcissist.
Yeah. And the second thing is just finding your purpose and passion. We have multiple purposes and passion in life. And it doesn't mean we have to be there right now. And it might just be a baby step towards what you love. And so even though sometimes, like, say, thinking about leaving a company like Warner Brothers to going to have my own brand and company, right, is scary, if you think about instability. And I wouldn't say somebody just jump right into that. But what you do is you say, what is going to make me excited today? And whatever that decision is, once you have an option. So if it's like when you're done with work, it's like, what is my heart calling to do? What's that exciting? What am I excited? What do I get a little nervous and excited about? Do I want to start writing my book? Do I want to, or do I want to go give another 10 hours to some television show or whatever? You know what I mean? That I don't even remember when it's over, and you have to really start to really be choosy about the stuff that you pick, that, whatever that is, because we all have specialities, but let's just live with our more excitement, purpose, whatever that is. Those are the two things.
Yeah, I love it. And finding that purpose is just magical. And I've
everything.
Yeah, I've just had a couple. I met just a recent guest with the Jar again. This is really similar. I mean, the language and everything you just used, it's magic, because that's kind of what they were saying at the end. Like, I found my purpose and I'm in the groove, and people should be living, in their purpose, and just how much this part about serving mankind, like you said, or having that service heart, the service mind. And it's part in the third part of my book, I talk about love, karma, and service. And this is the humanitarian chapter. If you're an individual, the skill set to be a good human, going out into humanity, is that, right? You got a loving heart.
Yep.
You're going to leave stuff in people better than you find it.
Yeah.
And you're going out with kind of and how to provide service, how to be a service person. And I think this part, those kind of things that we join hands around, that kind of we create those kind of humans. We will do a lot of good stuff and go a long way to solving the crisis.
Yeah. And not sticking our heads in the sand. There's so much that each one of us can do. And each one of us, is what I tell everybody, we are all we were all in this giant tapestry that we're flowing together, and we're all one strand of that tapestry. If I clip my strand and say goodbye, this tapestry is never the same. And so what I mean by that is everybody is vital. And you might not like, especially when politics came in, I can't stand that guy. I hate this guy. It's like, you don't understand. We are all together here for a reason. Like, let go of the hate. Let go. Yes, that doesn't mean you can't have a debate, but we're all part of this tapestry. And once you learn that, then you let go of the hate. It makes it easier. You're like, oh, I don't have to hate that person. He had that person that I don't like their values or whatever, but they're gonna change the world somehow by either waking us up or making us do something. Or so when you recognize that, it just makes it easier. Just kind of don't have to worry so much.
Yeah. Like you said, you focus on the stuff we can control and the people around us that we can bring along with us, and try to build a better future.
And let the two news organizations fight it out with a bunch of BS, and let a real people who really care about people like us we can take it back. That's what I love about YouTube and podcasting now. It's like, let's all talk about it.
This is a part I do love. Gina, thanks so much for being a guest. For sure, not the last time we're going to chat. At least a cup of coffee in California somewhere in a couple of weeks. While I'm chilling out there.
Help everybody. This go to theliberatedhealer.com or the podcast on all the audio. I'm also on YouTube, and send me a note, or if you want to be a guest on my show, let me know.
I got some guests for you. Again, thanks everybody, and find us on all the normal platforms, as well as kind of live here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. See you in 30 seconds, Gina.
Bye.
Yeah, loose, baby.
We're about to go and make this vessel with these great professionals in public glass. We're not part of the community, but we're from the outer family of glass blowing. Yeah, we're going to go make a magical giant jar with optic lenses so that if you turn it, it changes all the time. So if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.